Welcome to today's explainer. You know, anyone who keeps a community tank knows all about that really delicate balance of ecosystem management. It's kind of like a giant puzzle. Today, we are unlocking a feeding mystery that honestly plagues even the most experienced fish keepers, and we're going to be guided by the fascinating journal notes of an aquarist named Aang. So why do your guppies completely ignore perfectly good food sitting right there at the bottom of the tank? I mean, picture this. You sprinkle in those expensive, premium sinking pellets, and your guppies, they just hover near the top. They act like the food resting on the gravel literally doesn't exist. It is incredibly frustrating, right? And, it's so easy to just assume they're being picky or maybe just stubborn. But as we'll explore today, it actually goes a whole lot deeper than that.
Section 1. The Mesh Basket Revelation. Observing the Mystery.
Okay, let's dive into this. Looking at some recent journal entries from Notes on Fishkeeping, the author, Aang, had this massive aha moment. Aang writes, "After so many moons of keeping guppies, it just dawned on me that I've been feeding them the wrong fish pellet." Just imagine that for a second. Years of fish keeping, and then suddenly realizing the core issue wasn't the fish's appetite at all. Actually, scratch that. It wasn't the appetite. It was the actual delivery system.
And the catalyst for this whole shift in perspective was remarkably simple: a mesh basket. Seriously, that's it. By placing the food in a little basket suspended in the water, well, it completely removed the dense aquatic plants from the visual field. This allowed Aang to clearly observe what was really happening. And what Aang saw was wild. Even when the pellets fell to the very bottom of the basket, the guppies absolutely would not touch them. They just flat out refused to go down there.
Section 2. Biology of the superior mouth, anatomy over stubbornness. What Aang realizes is that this isn't just some weird behavioral quirk. No, it all comes down to a defining anatomical trait. Now, what's really interesting about this is the concept of the superior mouth. Biologically speaking, an upturned superior mouth is designed specifically for skimming food that's floating right on the water surface. Basically, guppies are engineered by nature to feed from above. They operate as natural surface to mid-level feeders.
So the crucial point is that because of the incredibly precise way their heads and jaws are structured, they can only look upwards for food. Think about that for a second. Once a pellet hits the bottom of your tank, it effectively ceases to exist for them. Out of sight, out of mind, right? They aren't ignoring your expensive food just to spite you. They literally, physically just aren't built to forage down in the gravel.
Section 3. Solutions for your tank. Managing the ecosystem.
Now, understanding this biology is absolutely great, but we all know a fish tank is a super delicate ecosystem. Uneaten food just sitting there, rotting at the bottom? Yeah, that is a rapid recipe for ruining your water quality. Fast. But this is exactly where a natural division of labor comes in, and this brilliantly illustrates the ecosystem approach we should really strive for in a balanced community tank. Your guppies, they thrive on the surface with floating pellets. Meanwhile, your snails and bottom-dwelling fish thrive down at the bottom because they are perfectly adapted to clear away anything that sinks. It's truly a win-win. As the saying goes, one fish's trash is a snail's treasure.
So, based on Aang's journal, we can completely distill this ecosystem management down into 2 super actionable takeaways. First up, buy floating pellets that are specifically formulated for your guppies. Just save those sinking pellets for someone else. And second, introduce bottom feeders to your community tank. Because look, even with floating food, some of it will inevitably sink to the bottom. Having a dedicated cleanup crew down there ensures your water quality stays absolutely pristine.
All of this leaves us with a really important thought to consider. Look closely at your fish today. Seriously, take a good look. What is their anatomy telling you about how they should be fed? By actually observing their physical traits and their natural feeding zones, rather than just kind of guessing, you can completely revolutionize how you manage your underwater ecosystem. Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer.